Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be looking at partial fractions. Here we have our first example. So they give a question of sorts, and you can write it in the form of a over the denominator plus b over the second denominator. So there are two methods of solving this. Method one is going to be substitution. So here we have solved the question by substitution. So what you basically want to do is multiply both sides by the denominator, which will cancel out on both sides. Therefore, you'll have the numerators, and then you can equate them as such. And next, what you should do is you want to cancel out each bracket. So to do that, you have to make it 0 inside. So minus 1 plus 1 is 0. So that will allow you to cancel this one out and just find the other unknown term. So in that way you can find a and b both, and finally write the answer as such. That's your final answer. So that is method one, and to substitution. The second method is to compare the coefficients. So here's what you mean by equating the coefficients. So here you have the x coefficient of 6 and a plus b. So what you do is you equate these coefficients. So that's your equation 1, and you equate your coefficient without any x terms. So that's minus 2 equals to a minus 3b. And then you solve this simultaneously. Once you solve this simultaneously, you will get the answers of a equals 4, b equals 2, similar to what we received through the method 1. So you can use whichever method feels easier to use. I personally use the substitution method. I just find it easier. Alright, so the next case we can have is repeated factors. So here in this case, you can see that our denominator has been repeated, has been raised to the power 2. That means it's squared. So that means you will have 3 terms. That's why you have ABC. And so you will have the x minus 5 as always. It's normal. And then x plus 3 squared, right, as shown here. And then you should have a third term with the squared term, but just the algebraic fraction expression inside. So you should have a third term. If you forget this, your entire answer is wrong. So let's look at this example question. So we can break this down as such. So we can break this down as such, and do not forget to put your expression in here as such. And now solve it as we saw before. You could use either method 1 or method 2 of substituting or comparing coefficients. So after solving, you will get the answers of 3, minus 2 and 4, and make sure to write your answer in the proper format. This is the answer you will get. So you can solve it by any method that I showed you beforehand. The next case we could have is improper fractions, where you'll have a higher power in the numerator and a lower power in the denominator. So let's look at this example here, where you have to the power 3 in the numerator. So, yeah. So we can write it down as such in the form. We can write it in this form, yes. Since we have a cubic over a quadratic, this equation you get, it should be linear. So you can just remember this. This is the format for all cubic over quadratic improper fractions. If you are to write it as a partial fraction, this is the breakdown you should remember. So let's find all the unknown terms. So after you solve it, you will get the terms of b equals 9, c equals minus 3, and d equals 24. You will notice that A doesn't have a term. That means our A term is not there. So final answer is going to be, so this will be your final answer. So I hope you found this useful and hope to catch you in the next one.